This is Judge Rusty Johnston with our Firearms Tip of the Week. This is actually a 9mm AR-15. And of course, AR-15, AR stands for Armalite originally. And only Colt can legally use the name AR-15, but it's become standard in the industry just like Kleenex has. So it's going to be easier for me to manipulate this 9mm Stag AR as opposed to my Colt AR-15 in order to show you all the working parts today that we want to show you. In order to be safe, first of all, I've checked, made sure there's no rounds in the chamber. And to be doubly safe, I have put what we call snap caps into the magazine. So that's the orange rounds here, look like orange bullets. Put it up in there, and I'm going to go ahead and put one in the chamber. I'll still have it on safe though, so there's no chance of it firing. If it did actually pull the trigger, it's hitting an inert round. Most guns these days, this is what we would call a carbine because it's short. It has a telescopic buttstock here. Most of them come flat top, meaning there's no carry handle, and there are also no sights on there. That's important to consider because sights may cost you $100 a piece, or it could cost you $100 a pair. It just depends on how expensive a sight you want to get. These are kind of on the expensive side, I think $75 a piece. You buy them separately, and they're fairly easy to put on. They're called iron sights. You always want to learn how to use iron sights before you want to learn how to use any type of electronic sights. Here would be the same type of sights fresh out of the box. They're called pop-up sights because when you press down, they'll pop up. Now these screw onto the Picatinny rail on top. The further apart you have them, the more accurate they are. This is what we call the front sight, of course, and this is the rear sight. Now, let's take a look just for a moment and watch. They pop up like that. Now, when using this type of, we'll call it a carbine or a patrol rifle, you want to have it sighted in for the work you're going to be doing. If you're in the military, you want to have it sighted in probably for 100 yards because that's the point you're going to engage somebody. But if a homeowner is using a gun like this for self-defense, you don't want it sighted in for 100 yards. You want it sighted in for the longest distance. You're probably going to engage someone within your home, which for me is 25 feet. So it's sighted in for 25 feet, but here's the rub. We have a fairly new type of front sight for this. It is called the KNS Precision Sight, and we've got a link to that. Costs the same as front sight post, and it fits into the front sight post. That's a normal front sight post that's white, but the KNS has a crosshair in it. And so when you're looking through the aperture hole on your rear side here, you see a crosshair that looks like you're looking through a scope. When sighted in properly, the crosshairs you put the crosshairs over what you want to shoot and you hit dead on, as opposed to trying to manipulate that post to put it where you want to. Much easier to use. I think it's $28. All you do is replace that. We'll go to another video about that later on, but they're very easy to replace. Let's say you want to step up and do the next best thing after you learn thoroughly how to use sights that you've put on the gun and they've come with it, steel sights or metal sights. That would be something like this. It's an EOTech holographic or electronic sight. These are great, but like everything mechanical, something can always go wrong. 6,000 hour life battery, a shut off after, I think it's 4 to 6 hours. You want to always carry an extra battery if you can. Once you get that sighted in, it's a red dot inside. You want to sight it in for the same sight that you've got these metal sights on. That red dot, you're going to kill whatever you put that red dot on. To show you how accurate these are, I had it sighted in at 25 feet. I was shooting at what we call a Texas Star, which is a device that has metal plates on the end. Once you knock one off, it starts spinning. There's 7 of them. I, with 7 rounds, knocked all 7 plates off at 25 feet. I can't remember quite the seconds. I think it was 11 seconds. That's with the thing spinning. With my Beretta M9 pistol, I hit 2 of the 7 plates in probably a minute. That's with open sight. So Red Dot, especially a good brand, is hard to beat. So what you do with this is you put it on, kind of up a little bit closer to your sight, closest to you. And some of these have, this one has just a screw that goes through that you can, first you want to get it good and hand tightened. And then you want to, goes into this is called a Picatinny rail, after the Picatinny Arsenal in New Jersey, I believe. Get that tight. You also want to sight it in. The best way to sight anything in is to get a $49 laser sighter that goes into your barrel, sight that in with your sights. You're going to be pretty close. And then, of course, try it out at the range to make sure that it's done. Now, that would be stupid, wouldn't it? Not necessarily, because what I've done now is what we call co-witnessed the sights. If this should ever go down, I can take these sights, which I would normally have in that position, pop them back up, and I can see through the glass. Still see through the glass and use my old iron sights. It's called co-witnessing the sights. So if the battery went down, something shorted out, whatever, which is not likely to happen. These are really good sights. But I still have my backup. Murphy's Law will get you eventually. So why not have a backup like NASA does? It always makes sense. So look out for these. If you're buying one, try to buy a AR that has sights already on it. I'm not a big fan of the original A2 sights. I've got a number of guns with those. They're the ones with the big V on the front, but they throw your whole plane up a little higher. But somebody gives you a gun, take it. But if you're in a flat top, remember, you may have to add $100, $150 to it to get your sight. So consider that when you're pricing your AR. And then later on, if you're buying a electronic or holographic sight like this, you're going to spend $400 to $600 on that. So consider those in the price, and good shooting. And remember, get your gun sighted in at the distance you're going to be using it. And we'll be back next week with another tip from Armed Alabama.